had one of the main characters talk to you and say, "You need to kill me now," because that's actually had literally happened because I was at the end of the story. Like that, the thing is, I could have delayed it a little bit longer, but honestly, it was the right time to get to the end of the story,
Yeah.
right? And it was the big final battle, and it's like, well, if nothing changes, then what was the point of telling the story? Something had to go. The other thing too was she was my favorite character to write in the book. That was the other thing too. That was really painful, but it had to be her because I had to go
That,
back I had to go back to the beginning of the story, right? My main character in the first book went out into the world alone. It made sense with the way the story had to end that he had to walk away from this world alone, and the catalyst for that was her, and it was painful because it had to be
yeah.
painful, right?
That's something that I feel like people who just read books and don't write books or that like
Mhm.
they want those big moments. It is very difficult and takes a lot of bravery. I know that sounds dramatic, but it takes a lot of bravery to kill them off. It's like people who pick up a book, they care about the character. Um, I promise you, you don't care about those characters as much as the writer does. And it's hard. It's hard to make bad things happen. And that's one of my regrets from the Eloy trilogy is I should have had worse things happen, not for the sake of it happening, but I just needed that bravery. I needed that bravery to really put him in pain.
Yeah.
And he was, but it was more like I was very focused on the psychology of it. So the core of Eloy is the kind of the discomfort and the loneliness of ambition.
Yes.
And so I really focused on that. So and that was what was important to me. Um but it's still a story. It's still a fantasy and things happen. I mean there's all kinds of
Well,
crazy
sure.
stuff in there. And it's funny that you're saying that like did the characters ever tell you that? I didn't have that feeling about a death, though I'm sure I will eventually. I had that with relationships in my books. Not one of the relationships in the books was planned. I was not particularly interested in talking about a great deal about romance. There was just kind of more other things that I thought were more interesting and more important, and they came up. Like it was like the characters were together, and you're like, this doesn't make any like. It felt like them saying like, yes, this makes sense for us, like this. And there's multiple relationships in those books that I just didn't anticipate. I didn't plan